So I'm Tuffy Stone, and today I'm at my good friend Carey Bringle's restaurant called Peg Leg Porker, and I'm hoping I can get in there and find him and he can show me how to make West Tennessee dry ribs. So Carey, he opened Peg Leg Porker 10 years ago. After 5 years, he had to build an addition because he's feeding so many people his wonderful barbecue. Carey and I have known each other for a really long time, and we get to do festivals and cook together all over the country. So I'm hoping I can get in there and find him. So I was lucky, I found Carey Bringle. Carey, good to see you.
Great to see you, Tuffy.
Carey, you and I have had the pleasure of being able to cook at a lot of different festivals and events all over the country. But you were telling me one time about dry ribs, and specifically West Tennessee dry ribs. And I was hoping maybe you could show me how to make a true West Tennessee dry rib.
Absolutely, Tuffy. A lot of people get it wrong. A lot of people make what they say is a dry rib, and it may be a great rib, but it's not a real West Tennessee dry rib. There's a process to it, and I'm gonna show you that today, and you're gonna understand what the real difference is.
So Carey, where are you gonna show me how to make these dry ribs?
We're gonna go up to the Peg Leg Porker Culinary Loft, which is an apartment I have and cooking station up on my 3rd floor, which most people don't know is here, but I'm taking you there today, and I think you'll like it.
I'm stoked. Thank you so much.
All right. All right, Tuff, today we're gonna do some West Tennessee dry ribs. And so there's a lot of misnomers about dry ribs. A lot of people like to think that they make a dry rib, they pre-rub a rib, and then they smoke it, and then they don't put any sauce on it, and they wanna tell you that that's a dry rib. And that may be a great rib, but it's not a real West Tennessee dry rib. So a real West Tennessee dry rib is smoked with very little on it or nothing on it. We use kosher salt on there. Some people might use a salt and pepper. And this rib has already been peeled. So we have peeled the membrane off the back. And if you haven't peeled the membrane off the back, you can do that. You know, you can get the back of a spoon, you know, the handle side of a spoon, get up against a bone, pull that, take a paper towel and pull it down and get that membrane off. And so now we've got this beautiful St. Louis. The St. Louis is cut out of the spare. And so this is the lower half of the spare. They square them off. They're very uniform. And so this is a great rib to cook. It's got the marbling and the fat of a spare rib, but it's got the uniformity that makes it a lot, you know, it's a little more forgiving when you go to cook it. So we've got this rib, and the only thing that we're gonna do to prep this rib before we put it on the smoker is take kosher salt. I just got a liberal coating of kosher salt on the top side of this rib. Some people want to put kosher salt on both sides. We just do the top side. That's generally enough to get that salty flavor in there, and it's going to pull out some of that flavor of the meat and where you're getting the real pork flavor. Now, what we're trying to do here, and what people need to understand, is that I'm not trying to alter the flavor of this pork. This is good pork from a good producer. It's a great cut, and so what I want to do is pull out the full flavor of the pork. The salt's going to do that. When we use our dry seasoning later on in the process, what we're trying to do is enhance that flavor. Not take away from it, not alter the fundamental flavor of the pork, but we want to enhance it with some spices that are made specifically to go with this dish. Now that we've salted this rib, it's going to go on the smoker. We're going to smoke it at about 250, and we're going to smoke that for about 3 to 3.5 hours, depending on the size of the rib. It's all about time and temperature, and it's going to be about feel when these ribs are finished. Okay, so today we're going to use a Weber grill. This is something that a lot of people have in their backyard. It's something that's very accessible, under $100 for the base model. I've built my fire to one side of the grill. I've left the other side open. I can put my wood chunks on that fire, and I'm smoking on the other side with indirect heat, and that's how I want to cook these ribs. I'm gonna put the lid over my ribs. I wanna put the holes on my lid or the vent to where the smoke has to roll across those ribs and then come out. And so I don't want the smoke going directly out and not hitting my ribs. I want it to roll across the ribs and then out. So that's why I've got the vents over the side where the ribs are. I'm gonna leave them in here for about 3.5 hours, but we're gonna check them every hour, and we might mop them with a light vinegar and water and apple juice mix just to keep them moist. On a grill like this, you get a lot of airflow, and so they can tend to dry out, and we might need to mop them. Okay, so these ribs have been on here for a little over 3 hours. You can see how they've drawn away from the bone, which tells me that they're done. And when I start to pull them up like that and they start to break or they give that much, now I know that these ribs are done. Okay, so that's the feel that I was talking about. I've mopped these once an hour with a third apple juice, a third water, and a third apple cider vinegar, a little bit of dry seasoning in it, maybe a little bit of oil. Very easy to make at home. That'll help keep them moist. Once an hour will be plenty. Looking in and cooking, so you don't want to open this grill all the time. Let them do their thing. So guys, here's the difference between a dry rib or a pre-rubbed rib. You can see that I've got this beautiful rib. We've used hickory smoke. It's glistening, it's nice. It's cooked right. The meat is drawn away from the bones, but I haven't changed or altered the flavor of the pork. You're gonna get that hamminess, you're gonna get that flavor with the hickory smoke and the way that the rib was meant to be. Now, with a dry seasoning, and this is a dry seasoning, this is ours, it's peg leg porker, West Tennessee dry seasoning. You noticed I said seasoning, not a rub. And the difference is that this is very, very little salt, no sugar, and this is mainly spices. Now, by not cooking this with the rib, I'm getting the full brightness of the spices. I'm getting the full flavor of all those spices with nothing cooked out of them. So now I've got the best of the pork, I've got the best of the spices. This was invented by the Rendezvous, the Vergas family out of Memphis, Tennessee. They've been open for over 70 years, and they're actually Greeks. So this is actually a product that's Greek in origin. Even though you know it out of West Tennessee and Memphis, a Greek family invented this process, and they came up with this dry rib. Then it's been done by several other people in Memphis that all do it great. But this is what we do. So this is what makes it unique. So I'm gonna add just a little bit more of our mop. Remember, it's a third apple juice, a third apple cider vinegar, a third water, a little bit of dry seasoning, maybe a teeny bit of vegetable oil to help it stick. Put that on there. This is gonna help that dry seasoning stick to that rib. And now here we go. We're gonna finish these ribs with this dry seasoning. I wanna get a light coat on this. I don't wanna overcoat it, but I wanna make sure that I get it on all of the rib. Now the difference between us and the originators, the Rendezvous, is that they charbroil their ribs. They cook them hot and fast over live charcoal coals. We smoke ours, and that's the difference of how we do it in Nashville at the Peg Leg Porker and how the Rendezvous does it in Memphis. Both delicious ribs, done slightly different, but this is a true West Tennessee dry rib, and now you know the difference.